history of programming story begins 1883 early for a programming language. The algorithm for the analytical engine was developed created by a lovely lassie Ada Lovelace, also known as the Princess of Parallelograms. She studied mathematics, which was atypical for women of the period. Her algorithm was used to compute Bernoulli numbers for Charles Babbage, an English mathematician who originated the concept of a digital computer, and his analytic almachine. This algorithm is widely considered to be the first computer programming language. Now, let's fast forward 66 years to 1949. The low-level language known as assembly was created. Now, assembly has a strong relationship with the instructions within the language, and machine code instructions was first widely implemented in the electronic delay storage automatic calculator, also known as EDSA, which was constructed by Maurice Wilkes at the University of Cambridge. Fancy the calculator was to use to solve differential equations, and discovered as 79-digit prime numbers. 195 to comes around. We see autocode. Now, autocode wasn't actually a singular programming language, but a term used to describe family of early computer programming languages, the first of which was developed at the University of Manchester by Alec Glennie for the Manchester Mark I. Is also believed to be the first programming language to run through a compiler. 5 years later, in 1957, the programming language for Fortran emerged, developed by a man used mainly for complicated mathematical calculations. Fortran actually stands for Formula Translation. 1 year later, in 1958, ALGOL was created. ALGOL, meaning algorithmic language, was a basis for languages like Pascal. C, C++, and Java. Most languages have syntax inspired from ALGOL and is considered to be amongst the most influential early programming languages, introducing code blocks with beginning and end delimiters. ALGOL was also the first language to implement nested function. Another 1 year later, we see COBOL, originally developed by Dr. Grace Emery Hopper, and was designed to run on all brains of computers. COBOL, meaning common business-oriented language. 1959, we see Lisp, developed at MIT. Lisp, meaning list processing language, is considered to be the second oldest high-level programming language after Fortran. 1960, for the programming language BASIC, was produced by John Khomeini and Thomas Kurtz at Dartmouth College, as the name implies. BASIC was designed around students who wouldn't have a strong background in mathematics, so that students would still be able to effectively use computers. A BASIC stands for Beginner's All-Purpose Symbolic Instruction Code. Later in 1975, Bill Gates and Paul Allen would alter BASIC, which would become one of Microsoft's first products. 1970, named after the famous French mathematician and philosopher Blaise Pascal. The programming language Pascal was developed by Nicolaus Wirth. Compared to prior languages, Pascal was relatively easy to learn and was favored when teaching computer programming. During the time, it was an official language designed to encourage good programming style and structure, and for all the students out there. Also in 1972, at Bell Labs, a little language simply known as C was developed by Dennis Ritchie. Despite prior languages being considered level programming languages, C is believed to be the truly first high-level programming language, and by high level we mean it is closer to human language. Dead machine code first developed so that Unix could run on different types of computers. C has had some influence on many future languages. During the 1980s, C began to gain interaction and is still amongst the most popular programming languages used, and it's commonly taught throughout computation's higher level education. Speaking from personal experience, now you thought 1972 is over, but not quite yet. Also during this year, we see the emergence of the ever-so-faithful Skull, also known as SQL, originally developed by Donald Chamberlain and Raymond Boyce at IBM. SQL, an acronym for Structured Query Language. Skull is a programming language designated around a database and is still widely used in database management today. Now, if you've had to take a linear algebra course recently, you'll be familiar with MATLAB. Created in 1978 by Cleve Moeller, MATLAB stands for Matrix Laboratory. It is argued to be amongst the best programming languages for advanced mathematical computation. 1983, where we first see Objective-C used, created by Brad Cox and Tom Loewy. Objective-C combines small talk-style messaging with the C programming language, and until the recent development of Swift. C++, developed by Bjorn Strauss up at Bell Labs. C++ is also known as C with classes, and was designed with system programming in mind, featuring more high-level features. It is currently one of the most widely used programming languages, and is used in popular high-performance software like Adobe Photoshop. New versions of C++ are still being released roughly every 3 years. 1987, the programming language Perl makes an appearance, developed by Billy Wald as a scripting language for text editing. Oddly enough, Perl has no official acronym. But now we have reached the 1990s. In 1990, named after an American mathematician, Haskell Brooks Curry, the programming language Haskell was created. It is mostly a mathematical program language, and is used mainly for intense number crunching. Yummy Skull innovated with type classes and utilize-type inference and lazy evaluation. 1 year later, the famous programming language Python makes an appearance, designed by Guido van Rossum. Python is much easier to read and requires overall less lines of code. Also in 1991, we see the emergence of Visual Basic, developed by Microsoft. Visual Basic's key feature allows users to drag and drop chunks of code in a graphical user interface. We've come to 1993, and the programming language was created at the University of Auckland in lovely New Zealand. That wasn't a New Zealand accent. Rasa Haka and Robert Gitleman developed R, and R is mostly used amongst active staff and data scientists for data analysis and the development of statistical software. 1995 was definitely the year of the programming language, and now, as all freshman computer science majors are familiar with, the steamy, tasty Java programming language. Java was originally intended for cable boxes, but was later improved upon for use on the World Wide Web. Java was designed around the phrase "write once, run anywhere," where Java applications can run on any JVM. JVM means Java Virtual Machine, completely independent on the underlying computer architecture.